movies for you and me. Music, Legos and lights, wrestling, talking, staying up nights, magic, roleplay and more. It's almost like the old store. Underneath the neon lights, we find new heights. No judgment or exclusion, acceptance is the conclusion. We'll pull you back from the edge, from Tiffany to Gamersledge. Twitch.tv/Gamersledge. So pull you back from the edge, from Tiffany to Gamersledge. Twitch.tv/Gamersledge. It's a place for positivity, somewhere you can come and be. If you've got nowhere to go, hang with us and you will know. We all need to hang out with friends, that's why you're at Gamersledge. Mark, Shank, and Crow and Jimmy, Alexi, Dan, Tom, Matt, Damon, and you and me. Underneath the neon lights, we find new heights. No judgment or exclusion, acceptance is the conclusion. We'll pull you back from the edge, from Tiffany to Gamersledge. Twitch.tv/Gamersledge. It's a place of positivity, somewhere you can come and be. If you've got nowhere to go, hang with us and you will know. We all need to hang out with friends, that's why you're at Gamersledge. Mark, Shank, and Crow and Jimmy, Alexi, Dan, Tom, Matt, David, and you and me. Underneath the neon lights, we find new heights. No judgment or
To Star Wars.
exclusion.
Hey Mark, it still says once human.
Twitch.tv/Gamersledge. Twitch.tv/Gamersledge.
Or in other words, greetings and salutations, love George, ladies and gentlemen, fluid friends, any persuasion. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to Gamersledge. I'm one of your hosts, Mark, and joining me on the show is Matt. Hi, Matt.
Hello, how goes things?
It goes. I'm trying to move you, and of course, everything else is moving. So that's the way that normally goes. Let me find you again. You are.
I don't know where I am.
I don't know where you are either. Refresh that. And then you are right there. And now let's see if it lets me move you. There we go. There we go. Now we're side by side. And I'm not clipping
Whee!
over you. That's surprising that I still don't. Oh, it's turned off. That's why I don't see it. Oh, really? Refresh. Nope. That's no bueno. Okay. Never mind. I'll just have to watch the chat thing to see what's going on. Welcome in, everybody. Hello and welcome to Gamersledge Podcast. Matt, how are you doing this fine evening?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad.
We're like, I don't know, a month late on this show. I'm opening a Barks Root Beer because it's been that kind of day.
Yeah, I've got nothing but the best of home softened water in a bottle.
Man, that's hard edged stuff there. Be careful, sir.
Yeah, well, I'm old now. You're familiar with the malady, and had a physical this week, and it didn't go so well. So
that's always fun.
Yeah. So
sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like I'm dying today. Well, any more than any human is dying on any given day. But the numbers are not trending in a happy direction. I
do not have insurance, so I've not done one of those in a while.
So you're living in blissful ignorance.
That's right. Forging full steam ahead. We got this. Well, let's do what we always do and talk about what we have been watching or playing since last we spoke. Do you want to go first, or you want me to? I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be super vague because as I joked earlier, I'm never prepared.
Yeah.
But let's see, I finished the new James S.A. Corey book, The Mercy of the Gods. That's the author of The Expanse, if one was not familiar. The Expanse, both the book series and the TV show are top tier sci-fi, right? They're really good. This is a good book. It's not as good as The Expanse, in my opinion. It lacks when you get to The Expanse, you're like in immediately. The world is in the future, but it's not so different from our world that it's hard to jump into, right? You understand the dynamics pretty much from the get-go, right?
Right.
This one's a bit more
esoteric.
Yeah, it's a bit more foreign to, right? Like, it's not. This is in the synopsis, so it's not really,
a spoiler. Yeah,
spoiling anything.
If it's on the cover, I don't count it as. Yeah, if it's on the back cover description, I don't count it as spoiler.
Yeah, the main characters are not from Earth, right?
Oh, okay.
So there's an immediate just disconnect there, right? Where it's just they really pulled out the thesaurus for this one and are just throwing some really unnecessarily esoterical words at you, like. Okay, I get what that means from the context clue, but I don't think I've ever seen that. To the point where I was looking some up to see if they had just made these up, right? Because we're not on Earth, right? So are these made up words or are these actual words? And most of them are actual words that are just being used in a slightly weird way, non-standard way from what they would be used in current English. So it all works out, but it's just a little weird. But by the end, I'm in, right? The second book, this one came out August of last year. The next book's supposed to come out by the end of this year. So they're either really cranking or they were halfway through book 2 by the time they published book 1. And
it makes me wonder now, right? In the world of Robert Jordan's and George R.R. Martin and oh my God, why am I Patrick Rothfuss, right? I'm wondering if they have changed multi-book contracts so that you actually have to release the book that you promised you're going to release in the series.
Right. You have to be at least halfway through book 2 before they'll publish book 1, and
Exactly.
kind of the Netflix model where you have to show them your 3-season arc just to get a pilot greenlit, right?
Yep.
But yeah, obviously these guys are good at they know how to write a series. You know, they did very well with The Expanse. It was a bit drawn out at the end, but you know they clearly know how to do it. And I keep saying they because if you don't know, James S.A. Corey is a duo. It's a pen name for a duo of authors that write the books.
I was not aware of that, actually.
No, yeah, it's a pen name of 2 guys.
And I know you're going to yell at me, but I still haven't finished it because the only reason I haven't finished it is because they moved right from Amazon to Netflix, and then I totally forgot that they moved. And I was going back the other day, and I'm like, oh crap, I still have a full season to watch on this. So yeah, I still haven't watched season 5 yet.
And then you got to go and read the last trilogy of books because that goes beyond what happens because the TV series ends short of the book series. But anyway, you don't have to. I'm just joking. But yeah, I don't know how many books this series is supposed to be. I'm guessing it's not another 9-booker. That's pretty intense. I don't. With the setup, I mean, this is very much a preamble book, right? Like we just got to the story at the end of the book, right? You know, so it could be a trilogy, it could be 4. I don't see it going more than 4 or 5 if I have my guess, but yeah, we'll see. I'm definitely intrigued. It's definitely well written. The standard of writing that we expected in The Expanse is there. It takes a little while for the dialogue to get going. That was one of the things I really liked about the Expanse series was the dialogue writing. Took a little while for that to get going. And they did third person different in this one because in like The Expanse, when you're in a chapter, you're following a character and everything is from their perspective. And everything in that chapter is from their perspective. And you're usually following a small handful, 3-4 maybe at most characters where you're bouncing back and forth. This one kind of, you're following a character, but you aren't exclusive to their thoughts, right? It pulls out and switches to other characters every once in a while. So you're like getting deeper what's going on in their thought process instead of just kind of being locked from the one character's perspective. Took a bit to get used to that, a few chapters. But once you got into it, it flowed well enough. But yeah, I'd recommend it if you're into sci-fi. If you're a fan of the Expanse books or the show, this is not the Expanse. And I knew that was going to be a challenge, right? Because, you know, it's not the Expanse.
Right.
This is like back in the day when actors couldn't break out of roles. You know, it took Richard Dean Anderson how long to get another, you know, show or anything after being on MacGyver, you know? But that's not such much a problem these days. But it was. I knew it wasn't The Expanse, and I went into it telling myself it wasn't The Expanse, and it still took me a while to accept that this wasn't The Expanse.
Also, I apologize to everyone on TikTok and Instagram. I realized after we started, Matt, that I had you on the left and me on the right, so it was just a dead space in the middle.
Half of each of our
dead space. Not even. It was just dead space, and I'm like, you know what? I could probably stack these so that people can see both of us. Sorry, everybody.
No,
it's been a long week. Okay.
Yeah, no kidding, man. No kidding.
All right, sorry. Yes.
So yeah, well, so that's been one of the major things. I'm glad you
enjoyed it, though.
Yeah, definitely
what would you
enjoyed
give
it.
Out of 10?
I'd say it's a solid, keeping to even half points, probably like an 8.5.
Oh, okay. That's better than actually from the kind of way you
from the
it.
setup. Yeah. It's a build, right? If you had asked me at the beginning of the book, I probably would have said 7-ish, you know, but it built up. It didn't do anything surprising. It really told you what it was going to do up front, and it did what it told you it was going to do. But by the end, you felt better than you did at the beginning, right? So I'll call that a victory, right?
Yeah.
And more importantly, my mom wants to keep reading the series because, you know, she's the hard sell of this, right? So we've been kind of parallel reading books, and she's not a sci-fi or fantasy reader by any stretch of the imagination. So she reads her 13 murder mystery novels a month and then one sci-fi book with me. So
listen, man, I get the murder mystery stuff. That stuff's addicting. But,
it is.
My question for you is, still, have you read the Patrick Rothfuss Name of the Wind King Killer Chronicles?
I have not.
Man, Come on. I don't ask you to read much in the way of books. Like almost, I don't think I've ever asked you to read a book, but I would say read the first one and tell me what you think.
Yeah.
Because it does suck that the third book is probably not coming in our lifetime at this rate.
At least he hasn't just pulled the George R. R. Martin and just said, yeah, I'm just not finishing it.
Yeah, he has not done that yet.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it is going on, like, I think 15 years now. So, it maybe, when was, no, I've got to look it up on Google. When was King Killer Chronicles Book 3 supposed to be released? (2009).
Oh my Lord.
So this is 25.
14 years.
Yeah, I was right. It's like 15, almost 15 years. It's sad because, like, I get writer's block, right? But
yeah,
come on now.
At some point, yeah, you
got to say, okay, I need to stop doing all these other things I'm doing and actually finish the thing. Come on now. But anyways, it's
too nervous, I guess. Weird.
I mean, and I get that, especially when the first two were received so well. But there's a reason they were received well, and there's a reason that I believe in him for doing the third book, right? The only real problem I see is if he actually didn't have it finished in his head, right? Mm-hmm. Then that's a problem because the buildup between book 1 and 2 is so dramatic that the third book has to be pretty awesome to pay this off. And so that's the only thing I can think of. But regardless, I still stand by, like, books 1 and 2 are probably my favorite fantasy books of all time. Like, that's how good I think they are. So I would very much, I know it's not necessarily your favorite genre, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, like, another thing I'll talk about in a second. But I mean, I read more sci-fi than I do fantasy, but I don't have a problem with good fantasy.
Okay. Because I really think you will enjoy at least book 1. And I mean, I like book 2 almost as much as book 1 because it's kind of furthers the plot. But I would just be interested in your take on book 1 and see what you thought.
All right. I think Mom's picked another book. My mom's picked another book for us already for this month, but I will volley for that for the next month. So
I don't think it's a big book either. Like, it's no Robert Jordan Wheel of Time.
Right.
I'm looking to see how many pages it is. Name of the Wind. And it is 662 pages. That's actually pretty decent.
It's a pretty good size. I mean, it depends on the format.
Again, it's no Robert Jordan 1,000-page book, but
no.
But that's
hefty.
pretty hefty.
Fantasy authors seem to be verbose for some reason. I'm not. If it's just the world building aspect, or if it's just they all think they're Robert Frost or what it is.
No, because, like, Jordan's like, if a picture's worth 1,000 words, I'm going to use 3,000 words to paint that picture, right? For everything, and that's why his books are 1,000 pages in size. But I don't feel like I feel like Rothfuss has a pretty good clip. He's closer to who's the guy they brought in to finish the Wheel of Time?
Sanderson, wasn't it?
Yeah. I feel like he's closer to a Sanderson pace than he is like a Jordan pace. So I don't feel like there's ever lulls.
It's not going to be like it's dragging.
Yeah, it's never felt like it was dragging for me. It was really good paced, and funnily enough, I want to say something, but I don't want to color your impression of it. So I will wait until after.
Withhold.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. But anyways,
right.
I'm sorry. Please continue.
No, that's okay.
Derailed you again. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. It was a good discussion. Before that, I finished the last book of the Witcher series. And when I say the last book, I mean the last book of the 5-book proper series. I'm not going to go into the 2 expanded books that are actually prequels. I've had enough. It was a good setup. It was a good idea. The middle, I just don't understand what the execution plan was in the middle. I don't know why we needed that many books to get there. The ending was decent, and by the time we got there, it felt like, there was a good payoff. The characters all got their resolution and stuff. I don't know if it was a localization. I don't know if it's just because Polish books are written differently than American books. Or I don't know, but it did not need 5 books, and it was a slog at only like 300 pages.
Wow.
So,
wow.
Yeah, it's a great world, great setting, great ideas. Just every time it took 3 pages to describe what the sorcerers were wearing at their latest gathering, and then talk about politics for 25 pages.
Oh, that's what I want to read in this day and age.
I mean, it's good, and it's interesting, but it's just like my kingdom for a map. Any book that is going to be in a fantasy world and have major political and war things and doesn't give you a freaking map so that you can look at and have an understanding of what's going on. I could have Googled the map, sure, but I'm sitting there with the book in my hands, people. So yeah, that was it was just an overall frustrating experience by the end, unfortunately. So unfortunately, that's where that left off. I'm still playing Alan Wake 2. I'm clocking a fair number of Rivals hours. I haven't played it in like a week now, but once I found out you can do your dailies against bots, that's been my salvation, because I can go in and do my dailies against the bots. That's a quick little cheat if you're just looking to kind of build up your purple to get through the battle pass. I don't know what the names of any of the currencies are. I just call them their colors. There's the gold, there's the blue, and the purple. I have no idea what the hell they're called. You been playing it all, or
playing which?
Rivals?
Rivals. Yeah, I'm about 2 weeks out, but since we haven't done the podcast in a month, yes, I had 2 weeks ago, but I haven't since then. In fact,
Yeah.
that was the toss-up, was, were we playing Rivals tonight, or were we doing this? And the answer is,
Right.
I wanted to do this.
Oh yeah,
next week will be Rivals.
Rivals. All right, right. I'll still maining Rocket, because I'm trash, so I just need the spray and pay healer. But yeah, I messed around a bit with Squirrel Girl and Moon Knight and Iron Man, just when
I found out one of my friends was Diamond on Mantis, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Because I still can't get out of Bronze 4 or Bronze 3, whatever that is, for Cloak and Dagger. Like, I cannot win a match to save my life in ranked.
I don't even try. I play bots and unranked. That's all I do. If I'm by myself, I'm just looking to do my dailies, I'll just throw on the bots to go in the versus AI mode and do that. Otherwise, if I'm playing with the boys, we just do unranked, because we're mixed platform and we can't do ranked.
Right.
So I know they kind of want to do ranked, but
yeah.
But I don't care to. And watching the TikToks of the ranked people, I don't want to be in those matches. I do not want to deal with that, especially as a support. Although the three support build is an interesting, phenomenon, interesting meta that's going on there. So
3 tanks, 3 supports. It's been since day one. It's been in there, and it's pretty strong.
It is.
But again, you have to have tanks that don't run away from the healing.
Yep.
Oh, man, I tell you what, I'm glad I don't have open comms, because I think I would revert to being the angry person again. Just like, oh my god.
Well, that's a nice thing, because if I'm playing with Mitchell and Keegan, right, we're on a Discord, right, and Keegan's a dive DPS, Mitchell's a tank, and I'm a healer, right, and so we're a 3-person team on the 6-person squad, right, and so I'm generally hanging just behind, because Rocket, I can kind of spray and pray healing wherever, but keep the tank alive, especially if it's a point defense. He'll play Penny, I'll be Rocket, and we can hold almost any point as long as one of the other of us don't go down, right? Right. But But yeah, it's a fun game. It really is a fun game, and it's a fun motif, right?
It's really good. I do have to say that I got a little fatigued, and that's part of the reason I haven't played in the last 2 weeks.
The maps get repetitive.
Yeah, and I'm waiting to see what they do next, or if they introduce new characters or whatever. Like I bought this battle pass, but there's nothing that like is super interesting in it for me.
I want to get as far as the Iron Man, because when I do pull out Iron Man, that Dark Knight suit, Iron Man suit, is pretty awesome. But I had to pay for it because it had a rocket skin in it, and my main. So
yeah. No, I get it. I mean, I bought it too. I'm just saying.
Yeah. It's just it's interesting to have the Magneto from the House of M. Like, when I flip through, I was like, hey, that's House of M Magneto. And then you look at the whole subtitle, it is House of M Magneto. Yeah. So it's like, when you can recognize the references and stuff in there, that's kind of cool. And I get it. That's extra meta stuff. But the game itself feels really solid, and I have fun even when I lose a match, right? So I mean that's kind of the key there, I think, right? So
I am definitely one of those people who will not play it alone.
Yeah.
I can't.
It's tougher.
I can't muster the gumption to do it. I need to people to talk to as I'm doing it. Otherwise, I don't feel like I'm making any progress as I just die over and over again.
Yeah. Well, that's why you go against easy bots. You don't die.
Well, yeah, sure. But,
you just push to their
spawn. I don't feel like I'm actually doing anything. Right?
No, I know. That's why I do it. But that is, I have to wonder if they'll take away that ability to mine quests by using the easy bots. But
I don't think they will.
For now, it's good because
yeah.
And then otherwise, game wise, I haven't really. It's been busy. It's been unusually busy, and I just haven't been able to get the time to do much. So Alan Wake 2, Halo. I finished the Halo Prime, the main Halo series. So I played the Master Collection 5 and Infinity, and now I'm playing Halo Wars 2, which is an RTS, because it's got the connectivity between 5 and Infinite. Because I'm like, End of 5 does not connect to Infinite. What the heck is going on here? And then I found out, oh yeah, you got to play this RTS game to get the interstitial story. Yeah. Which, don't get me wrong, the story in Halo Wars 2 is the best of all of the Halo games I've played. It is actually should have been a movie. I mean, I've
heard that multiple times over and over again.
Really awesome stuff that goes on in Halo Wars 2. Some great characters and just some really awesome sci-fi moments that have happened in there. It's an RTS. It's hard. Like, RTS on a controller is never going to be a great thing, right? It's a little buggy. Like, you're supposed to be able to double click on one of the unit types and it'll select all of that unit type, and that works about 3% of the time. So that gets really frustrating because, I'm trying to grab my anti-vehicle things to go fight that vehicle and it won't select them. I heard the mouse and keyboard controls are janky too, so I think the controls are just janked in the game. So I basically end up with just an army of everything and throw it at everything. And sometimes that works, and other times, like when I was playing earlier tonight, that does not work at all because you've got to play the advantages, disadvantages thing. Otherwise, you just get wiped. And and maybe this is just an RTS thing because I don't play RTSs that much, but I generally feel like when you're playing an RTS, you've got your grunt and your grunt, and they're basically reskins of each other, right? They effectively have the same abilities, same this thing. It feels like everything on the Banished team has just slightly longer range than I have. So, like, I'll set up a squad here at this point, go do something else on the objective, and the next thing I'll go, we're taking fire, and I'm standing there, and it's just a grunt squad, just slightly out of my character's range, my unit's range, just shooting me, and they're just standing there screaming, I'm taking fire. Like, react, for the love of Pete! But no, they just stand there and take it. It's just like, So, the game is a little bit more frustrating than I think it needed to be, especially if for a game that's for a shooter series where you're going to try and convince some shooter bros to come play your RTS. But I'm making it through. I'm learning my lessons, and we'll get through it because man, these cutscenes are worth it. So there's been some of that in there too. And then I didn't play, but recently they Microsoft did their thing and they announced Ninja Gaiden 4 coming out, and then simultaneously released Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, which is a remaster of the Xbox. Was that 360 Ninja Gaiden? I think it was 360, right? It was Ninja Gaiden 2.
Yeah, not in a million years.
I didn't touch it, but both Mitchell and Keegan have played it. And Keegan's a Souls player, right? So he is all about the pain. He loves the misery, right?
That's what you're gonna get playing those games, 100%.
Yep. And then so he made it quite a ways before he had to go back to his apartment because he was up here this past weekend for the concert thing we went to. And then also, just I didn't realize we're like 2 weeks out from Captain America: Brave New World. I haven't bought tickets yet.
Oh,
so
my tickets been done for two weeks already.
PSA out there to anyone who's like me and has just been living under rock or something. Don't go ahead and get your tickets. I'm not. I got to figure out when we can rally the troops and do that.
We're going Thursday evening, 6 p.m. So there will be no podcast that day.
Okay.
And then there will be no podcast on Friday because that's Valentine's Day.
And that's right. It's right before.
Even though it is a manufactured holiday, I got to celebrate it.
Do what you got to do, man.
Yeah.
So then on the watching front, I finally finished watching. I had the name of the show just a half a second ago, and now it is completely gone. Oh, Three Body Problem, season 1.
Oh, good. You
finally finished that.
Yeah.
Yep.
What did you think?
That was good. It was interesting, the differences from the book, because I read the book series first. And it was just interesting how they modified it. It was still really good, and it still ended up with the main major points included somehow, because I was like, how are they going to dope? They did. Okay. I didn't see how they were going to do that, but they did it. So really well adapted in the sense that they managed to do things completely differently and yet end up at the same point somehow. So I guess that's what you call a really solid adaptation.
Just all I can say is that one poor dude.
The
friend.
The rich friend.
Well,
or the sick.
The sick friend. Yeah.
Okay.
Dude.
Yeah.
I'm sure that will be followed up on later. That seems like too big of a plot point. I mean, that is just so terrible series of events that it's like that they have to do something with that later.
And that's one of the major changes, because in the book, that's a throwaway character who's there for a chapter and a half.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
He's like a total throwaway character that was there for like a chapter and a half.
Wow. All right. Well, I liked him. I thought it gave a real kind of depth to the whole arc for her.
Yeah. Again, remixing of characters, right? Because you kind of start once you realize what they're doing, you're sitting there kind of, if you know what's going to happen, because I've read all 3 books at this point. I'm trying to figure out how they're morphing all these characters from the source material, and I was about 89% right, I would say.
In after Jurassic Park, I stopped doing this because
you and I are kind of. I cannot. I appreciate Jurassic Park the movie. I cannot enjoy Jurassic Park.
No, the book is horrible. Like, it is no
really.
Fun. Yeah, no, it's no fun. It's no, like, the characters are just mean, right? Hammond isn't a lovable old guy.
Hammond is
he's a mother trucker who's out to make a buck no matter what. And I'm like,
but he also gets his in the book.
Yeah, but see, I like the switch that they did in the movie there with the lawyer and him. I mean, granted, it's not 1-to-1, but the point is, I much more enjoy the movification, if you will, of the characters into what we got in the movie, because they're all much more rootable, and like, you want to root for them, you want to see them survive, and you feel bad for Hammond because he's just this deluded old man in reality who's spent all this money without thinking it through.
Shank the noob. The book
The book
characters
cover,
were
yeah,
insufferable.
I agree, Shank. They were completely insufferable. Everybody.
Okay.
Shank the noob. The book was more scientific and cool.
I mean, for Pete's sake, it's freaking Crichton. So, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
I love Crichton. So maybe it's just my affinity for his writing and his writing style.
Like his
But
other stuff, I don't have a problem with. It's just
Huh.
this one. It felt like some of the characters were like cartoonishly villains, and they didn't need to be.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know. I enjoyed the book so much, and I read the book not knowing there was going to be a movie, right? So I wasn't like prepping for it or anything. I just read the book in isolation, and then heard, oh, hey, there's going to be a movie, right?
Oh, don't you
And
get me wrong.
I don't know.
I love Crichton. But that book
I liked the
specifically
book,
had some
and
unique character
I
development.
could not enjoy the movie.
Well, see,
While I can appreciate it, and then I mean, the special effects to this day are great, and I don't begrudge anyone who likes the movie because it is a good movie. It just, for some reason, I cannot resolve those two all these years later.
so I didn't know there was a book. First of all, I
Okay.
saw the movie first, and then I watched it 27
Oh.
times in the theater because I'm in.
That's
Shank
good.
the
See,
noob.
that's going to color your
See?
perspective too, right?
Yeah,
I
he's a
fully
keycap
expect that
star.
anyone saw the movie
Great
first is going to like the
keycap
movie
star
first,
book.
movie better, right?
But
Because
the
I mean, that
movie,
is such a
hot
spectacle, especially
garbage.
if you watched it when it came out, right? You know, you're old enough like we are that you saw it in the theater when it came out. And you saw this spectacle, right? And you
100%.
love those characters and you love that presentation. And I mean, Ian Malcolm, I still love Jeff Goldblum's Ian Malcolm more than the Ian Malcolm in the book, right? I mean,
100%.
because that is the one character. But I mean, he's actually probably the one character that's the most the same, right? He's oh dear.
It was Jeff Goldblum laughing. Yes.
Oh, okay,
Ian
yeah.
Malcolm.
But I mean, oddly enough, they might be the two characters that are the most same, the book and the movie version.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the weirdness of it too. But
But ever since then, I refuse to, like, if I know there's a book for a TV show or a movie, I refuse to read it because I don't want that to color my
Overwhelm.
perception going into the visual medium.
and now I choose, right? And it basically because of Jurassic Park, I've built, not autistic at all, I've built a framework, right? So I can consume both medias now and compare them and keep them separate and appreciate them both in a separate way. Now, is that maturity? Is that whatever? But because of Jurassic Park, I built this mental structure that I use that allows me to kind of containerize the two with a little connector in between the two of them for comparison. And so to me, that's how I do it now. If I want to see both, if I'm just like, this is going to be a much cooler movie than book, like, I wish I had only ever watched The Witcher, right? I did not need to read it, right? You know, I just didn't need that experience. I wanted to know, so I did it, but I you know, it's a much better visual medium than it is a reading medium in my world, in my book.
I
But
totally cannot do what you're describing that you're doing, where you compartmentalize something. Never been able to do that my entire life. It's like, yes, I know going into it that it's not going to be the same, but that's why I watch the thing first if there's a thing to watch, and then if I'm that interested in the property, I will go back and read the book. And at that point, it's a softer blow to me than if I do the other way around, because
Right.
I can treat the book as its own separate thing because I've already experienced this, and I had to have liked it enough to actually want to go read the thing. That's one of the reasons I'm not doing Dungeon Delver Carl or whatever the name of that is. Oh man, no, you're looking at me like I'm insane. Dungeon Crawler Carl. It's a book series, and I've heard multiple people say it's fantastic, and I heard it got optioned and they are actually making a movie for it. So now I'm refusing to read the book because I don't I don't,
you don't want to spoil the
to,
visual experience.
well, that's exactly it. Yeah.
Which is fine. Is fine. And you know, it's like I saw this a while before reading Mercy of the Gods, and I forgot about it again until after I finished reading it, and I was looking up reviews just to see how it ranked for others compared to me, because I don't want to do that beforehand. For books, for some reason specifically, I do not want to know the reviews before I read a book. That's weird. I don't know why, but that's a thing. That series is called The Captives' War, is the series title. Again, another thing that it will never be called, because it will always be called the first book's title series. Never name a series different than the title of your first book. Your series and your first book title got to be the same. Otherwise it just doesn't work out. Except for The Expanse. Probably that's because the TV show, because I saw the TV show first and then read the books on that one. But the Captives' War has been optioned for a TV show already. So they are producing and writing and developing a TV show based on this property already. I'm guessing it'll probably start shortly after book 2, or at least we'll get more details or an announcement after book 2 releases. But so yeah, I'd forgotten about that. It's like, oh yeah, we get to watch this on a video format too, and this is going to be hard. I'll have to see what they do. I'm curious to see what they do, right? Because now that I've got all the visuals in my head of this world, because I'm a visual reader, right? I assume you are too. When you read, you're building the scene in your head. And if you like, when I'm reading Star Wars, everything I see is from my experience with the cartoons, the shows, and all that stuff. So that's how I build the world in my head. But if I don't have that frame of reference, I'm building original structure in my head. And then when you see how they've interpreted it visually on the screen, you're like, oh, okay. It's like hearing a character's name pronounced for the first time from a fantasy series. You're like, not how I would have done that, but okay, sure, why not?
Every Wheel of Time character, practically.
Well, this one's weird. This one's weird too, because like, I don't want to give away too much, but like one of the main characters' name is spelled Dafyd. David is how I've been pronounced it. And essentially it's David, right? But it's not, right? So all the names are like that, right? There's like a character swap or a little something added or a little something taken away.
Watch is going to be Dafyd.
Or something. Or they'll pronounce it John. I don't know. But yeah, it's like, so it'll be interesting to see, because Sphere was a great book. I loved the book. And the movie, hot garbage, but I still loved it. It was like that kind of garbage that you like. I don't know why, but I don't
remember
really
much about the movie, but I seem to remember that I
Shank
liked
the
it too.
Noob.
I'll be back.
Yeah. So I think it's a good movie. If you probably never read the book, it's probably a better movie. But all in all, they're not that dissimilar. They end up in the same place, kind of. Then I haven't seen Sphere in a really, really long time, so I could be remembering incorrectly here. Still, I mean, just watch the director's cut of The Abyss. Just go do that. It's overall better. That I still can't believe that they cut all that stuff in the original theatrical release. That is such a crime.
It's because they didn't want it to be a 3 hour and 40-minute.
Yeah, they were afraid of the movie length at that time. If it was released today, it'd be a short movie.
Yeah.
Anyway. It's a great movie. Go watch The Abyss director's cut.
Yeah.
Watch it. Well, if you can't watch the theatrical release and then watch the director's cut and be depressed by how much they cut out of that story for the theatrical cut. That's what I told Mitchell he had to do. I told him, watch the theatrical cut and then watch the I want you to experience my pain.
Them breathing that liquid still to this day seared into my memory of something that I felt I was experiencing as they did it
at the same time. Yeah, yes. No, that is an amazing scene.
I do not like it at all. It's like one of the most visceral things I've ever seen in a movie. That is like, to this day, I remember exactly what happens, and it freaks me out every time. And I do not like. I'm not a paranoia. Like, I don't get apprehensive about stuff. I mean, horror movies are dumb for me to watch because I don't get scared, and I don't react to the jump scares or anything. But that, like, on a psychological level, there was something that must have said, "You're afraid of drowning," and it has been there in my mind ever since. Because
he acts it beautifully
in my lungs. I feel it when I watch it for the first time, and I still remember what that feels like to this day. Do not want.
It's cold, no. I think the chest getting cold just thinking about that scene. But it's
All right, what else did you watch?
What else have I done? I don't know. I don't know if I've done anything else. I've probably done some other stuff. I don't know. Comics are going well. I got a bit behind here. I read volume 2 of the new Transformer series. It's violent. It's very violent.
I like violent Transformers.
Not for little kids. Volume 2 is a little drier than Volume 1. Volume 1 had a lot of the bombast to kind of get you in and get you hooked. Volume 2 slows down a bit. There's a bit of war is hell in there. You know, there's a bit of there's a lot of dying. Robots and people. Well, not less people in Volume 2, more people in Volume 1. Oh dear.
War.
Oh, it doesn't have the rest of it. Oh, there it is. There's the rest of it. I didn't remember the break being that long in there. But yeah, so that's solid. Shoot, I just had it in my brain and now it's gone. Oh, Ultimate Spider-Man. Really good. Really.
Are you
good.
reading Ultimate Wolverine?
She's one sitting's right over there. I haven't broke it open
then
yet.
I won't say anything. I'm very interested in on your take on that. Okay.
I did just find out it's a 12-issue maxi. I thought it was a 6-issue, but it's a 12-issue. So it's a assuming it's one a month, it'll be a full year of that. So we're still anticipating the return of the Maker. But yeah, everything was going relatively smooth for Peter Parker in Ultimate Spider-Man. So you knew stuff was gonna have to turn at some point here.
What's up, Ken? It's one of the reasons I don't like
the Marvel
like
thing.
Spider-Man.
Right?
Is because like it's not a fun story. Or,
it's not.
His timeline is like he's one of the main reasons besides the X-Men. I am convinced that Marvel would just be a tiring suck place to live. Like between DC and Marvel, give me DC any day. Like at least they have hope in DC. In Marvel, Peter Parker, good God, every time he turns around, the devil's after him. Or, or like there's a clone that makes him doubt whether he's the real one or not. It's like, God, man, just let the guy do his thing for a while or something.
You're married. You're not married. You love this person. This person is not even.
You killed your girlfriend. Congrats. It's like, oh, come on, guys. Jeez.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't always necessarily agree with the 616 direction, right? I don't agree with all the things they've done with the character. This current interstitial bit here is just like filler, right? While they're waiting for the new creative team to take over. So this is just kind of dumb right now.
I tell you what I did like recently from him was the whole story about he's racing to save MJ from the Pocket Universe.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like that story for their stuff, but I did like him being brutal for a change. And it's like, I don't have time to deal with you guys and stuff. Let me through and showing them exactly what he could do. That was much. Right. That was like a breath of a little bit of
difference,
payback, I think, for all the stuff that's gone on in his life. In a way, granted, misdirected the wrong people, but still, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I don't. It's hard for me to put into context, but my short form is like I was glad to see that, but then I felt the story was horrible about all the stuff that happened after that. So I was like,
the payoff on that was not good, but that sequence there, well, that was top tier. And actually that whole creator's arc capped off with him versus Tombstone. And just watching, and then there's been a lot of videos about Spider-Man's power scaling and stuff, right? And where he actually is, like, in comparison, and that he fights street thugs is kind of like a joke, right? Because I mean, and then with the whole Superior Spider-Man, Doc Ock and him punches Scorpion and punches his jaw right off, right? And he's like, crap. But just watching his slow escalation with Lonnie, it's like, no, okay, I break your arm. No, okay, I'm good. He's just giving him every chance to not, just beat the living crap out of him to stop him.
Coke Chicken.
And
Matt's
stuff happens.
favorite
But
comic
I thought that was one of the
Spider-Man,
best
where he takes off
descriptions
his
of
kid's
Peter at his
gloves when
peak
he
is when
faces
he's
enemies.
in control, right? And he's only escalating to the level he needs to stop what needs to stop, and all the time trying to talk the person out of what they're doing, right? And
which
using his head, using his
mind.
personality.
Yeah, I don't mind that side of Peter at all. I never have. It's more always been geez, man, how much does one person have to go through before they just off themselves? Seriously, it's like, and so he's the worst out of all of them. He is the worst, and it's not even his fault, right? All of it's not his fault. And I like that it speaks to his character that he keeps pushing on. But good God, man, Marvel writers, give Peter Parker some win streak for a while, seriously.
Well, and that's the thing. He came out of this whole gang war and thing kind of, I won't say on top, but pretty well for a Spider-Man Peter Parker ending, right? It actually ended up pretty well. And then they went into this 8 Deaths of Spider-Man thing, and now, we're back in super depression mode.
The thing, I think what I don't like about it, and I'm saying this as the entire history of the character, not just this one arc or anything, is that it seems that at some point he became a parallel for Daredevil in terms of the angst, the grit, the stuff. Granted, he responds differently from Daredevil, but he's pretty much in the same situations as Daredevil constantly. And I don't think I actually like the MCU's take on him instead, because he's fighting his villains, but he's also fighting larger villains. And he does do that in the books from time to time too, but for the most part, it's Kingpin, it's Doc Ock, it's Vulture, and the rest of the
right, the menagerie.
Yeah. So it's I don't know, man. It's I feel like he is stronger than a street level hero, and I guess I'd like to see him fully escalated to that, as opposed to, and yes, that means he has to change, and there might be a lot of people that don't like that, but it's one of the pros and cons of comics is they never really age and change. They'll go through a story arc, right? But they're still,
and then they'll revert it. And then they'll revert it right back. Because they've done this a few times, right? Where things in different the Parker Industries, and you did the Superior Spider-Man and all that stuff, right? They did change the status quo, and then as soon as the next creative team takes over, they bump it right back down to zero, and you're back down here again. Which I get. It's part of the game we play with characters like this, and if you want the other style, you've got Miles out there, there's a plethora of Spider characters, right? You've got all of but now we've got Goofy Venom, and I'm just like, did the world need a Goofy Venom? Really? I don't, not sure we needed Goofy Venom.
But if I could stop Sony, I would, because it's their fault. They made Goofy movie Venom. And
right.
Now we've got Goofy comics Venom, and it's just just stop. I'm so mad.
Well, at least Sony's done messing around with it for now. But,
for now.
But no, and that's the thing. I love, there was, and we're just going to talk about comics for the rest of the day. I love the Renew Your Vows storyline, which was an alternate universe, right? But it was him, MJ, and their kid, and he was married, and they were a family, and they were happy, but there was still spider stuff going on, right? It reminded me of the MC2 stuff with Spider Girl, right? Where, you know, they were a family, and, you know, she was taking on the mantle of the spider person, and, you know, and was doing the stuff, but there was the family unit. There was still that there, right? And they touch on it every once in a while in the main universe, and then they pull it away. And then Ultimate Universe, the new Ultimate Universe, right? I mean, Peter and MJ have been married for something like 20 years or something, right? I mean, he's like a 30-something-year-old dude when he gets his spider powers, right? I mean, he's got kids, he's got a family, and, you know, and then finds out, hey, you were supposed to be this super-powered, you know, super savior of the world, and you know, takes that mantle on because he still has the whole responsibility thing, even though, you know, the lessons are different and the ways they're learned are different, but, you know, it's still basically the same character. But now seeing that we've for 12 whole issues basically had him being able to keep a balance of being Spider-Man and happy family person, you knew the heel was going to turn at some point.
Yeah, it had to. And that's what I'm tired of. Like, it doesn't always have to be.
And maybe they won't. Maybe this arc we're in right now is kind of a red herring. It's making it look like this is going to be the turn, and it's really not. Or they're going to come out of it and be fine, right, and not set it back to that kind of old school status quo. But we'll see. We still got the Maker yet to return, so all hell's going to break loose when that happens.
Do you remember in 2004? I want to say there was I believe it was a 12-issue series. I don't remember the name of it. It was something like, it wasn't Unlimited, but it was like Marvel Heroes, something like Unlimited. But it was all manga art, but they were like retellings of the stories, but super kind of wholesome.
Yeah.
And I'm
like, what was that? Yeah.
The more time passes, the more I want stuff like that. And I don't know if that's a problem with me just getting like fatigued with the constant doom and gloom of Marvel. I mean, DC's much worse than it used to be on that side of the front, you know, because, you know, my thing has always been, how did the movies get switched? Because now in the movies, DC's the grimdark and Marvel's the one cracking jokes and looking towards the future. When you read the comics, you're like, I mean, I can only imagine the poor moviegoers that read Marvel, watch MCU stuff, and then got into the comics. They probably had whiplash from like, what the hell has been going on in the last 12 months in this universe on this planet? Because it's always the worst thing possible. Like, yeah. So I almost, you know, I don't know. I'm just. Maybe I'm old man yelling at clouds at this point. I don't know. Seriously, it's like.
But no, I think that is part of the problem, right? I think comics are. This is why independent comics are, you know, doing so well right now, because they don't have all the history. They can just do a thing and peace out and be done, right? They can be gruesome. They can be wholesome. They can be both. Yeah. You know, they can play to all kinds of different things, and it's a space I'm not playing in as much as I want to, because the collector in me won't let me stop getting the ones I've been getting forever. And so the resources to get these other things aren't there. But like, you know, I've got volume 2 of Department of Truth sitting over there because I had someone finally talk me into getting that. And yeah, I mean, if you liked Control, the game, then, you know, yeah, Department of Truth will be solid jam for you, right? I mean, it's very similar in tone and stuff. But anyway, back to video games. I don't know. That's I'm out of ideas. I'm not sure what I did anymore. But it hasn't been a lot, so I probably hit the highlights there. But what have you been up to? 2 hours into the podcast, we get to the second person's list of
that's okay. I'm trying to see what the name of this series was.
Oh.
So one of the things that, like, I feel I'm glad there is an Image Comics and Dynamite and the other independents now, because you get much more experimental stuff that you will ever see out of DC, Marvel, etc. So, yeah. I don't know if we should talk about it on the podcast because it's not very family friendly, but we'll talk about it afterwards. There's an Image series that you should read, by the way. It's hilarious. It's about a girl who has time stop powers, but they only happen during a certain act.
Oh dear.
Yes.
I think I've heard about this.
It's actually a really good series. But the premise is so far out there. It's good stuff. Anyways, what have I been up to? Well, so you know how you tell me all the time that I have
time compression.
Yeah, time compression. Okay.
Yes.
I want to preface when I get to the anime section that unless I'm saying it's a season, if I say that there's only like 4 episodes or it's ongoing, that means that I've only been doing the ongoing, like just the 4 episodes, right? But if I say that it's a 1 season of 12 episodes, that means I watched the whole season. This looks really bad in written form, this list. I was still writing it when you jumped on the thing because
oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know I'm missing some, but I did get most of them here. Played. Let's start with played. Once Human. I don't know what changed, but I've been using ReWASD since the game came out in July. And even though they introduced controller support, I've still been using ReWASD. Well, something happened in one of the updates, and now their controller settings override ReWASD, and it's both of them at once, meaning nothing happens. It like glitches out.
Oof.
So I have to turn off ReWASD, and now I'm stuck with their controls, but you can't remap any of their controls. So it's horrible.
Oh, wow. That's why you were fighting. That's what you were fighting last night.
Yes.
I really wasn't understanding what your problem was, but yeah.
Because I set my controller up. I've been using it for 6 months. It's secondhand for me now, and their stuff is completely different. And so every time I want to summon a vehicle, I have no idea how. Every time I want to get out of a vehicle, I hit the wrong buttons. The only
that's why you were honking nonstop.
That's exactly it. It's like, but that being said, I'm having a good time with this season, and I do like they're doing this blood moon thing where if you're outside of your base at a good chunk of nighttime, you start going insane, which every time you go insane, it eats away your health bar almost down to 0. So you literally are almost dead just from the insanity, unless you drink a beer beforehand, because beer stops insanity. That's the message of the game. But yeah, don't ask. But that is ale stop sanity loss. So as long as you drink a beer before it happens, you're fine. It doesn't affect you. But there's kind of a mini game to do where you've got to kill bosses and monsters in settlements or enemy camps, and they drop a special currency, and there are chests that appear only during the blood moon, and you open them and you can get special weapons, you can get special gear, and you can also get special deviants that you can only get in this event, and you have to be on the server to get this event. So we're like halfway through the 6-week season, and then now that they've fixed Way of Winter so that people aren't logging in to their bases and immediately exploding into flames and dying in their base, now that they fixed that, I actually do want to do the Way of Winter again, because the small amount of story stuff I really liked, but we didn't even like scratch the surface of the story for that campaign. So, because it was so onerous just even leaving the base. So now I'm interested in trying it again. So I think we'll do that next season. Finally played Magic with Ken. Thank you, Ken. On Sunday, along with Dan a while back. So that was fun. Marvel Rivals. I've been playing something called One Deck Dungeon. was playing it on the plane when I was flying. It's interesting because you are exploring a dungeon and you have powers, but even though it's called One Deck Dungeon, it's a dice game. And
okay,
the creature will have shields. You get different dice for different things. So like blue dice are shield dice, so you can only use them against shields. Or yellow dice are attack dice, so you can only use those to attack. Or red dice are magic dice, so you can only use that if the creature has magic defenses, as an example. And then the dungeon has its own section of requirements for that fight that you want to overcome, whatever the target number is. And then your powers are like, okay, if you sacrifice one of your adventure dice, it'll give you a 6 adventure dice. Or you can change all of your numbers of this type of dice up by 1. And so it's kind of interesting. It's almost like a Sudoku in a way. I mean, just like the way that you're constantly working with the numbers and figuring out how you can use the powers to get better numbers to overcome the things. It's very fluid, and it's actually a lot of fun, and it's not expensive. I want to say it was like $5 on Steam. So there's that. Been playing that. Path of Exile 2. Lexi wanted it. We got it for both of us, played with some of the others in the community. It's exactly what I wanted Diablo 4 to be. And Diablo 4 was not. So I've been having a good time with that as I've been playing it. Lexi bought Pal World, and she was having a little bit of difficulty with it, so I ended up sitting down and helping her with it. It's surprisingly fun. I was a little surprised by that, like how much fun it was. I actually would be interested in playing more with her. I don't own it, but she does. But I might be interested in playing with her if she wants me to at some point. And then the last thing that I've been playing, I have logged like a lot of hours in it in the last week. It's called Our Adventurers Guild. You know how in like every isekai there is an adventurers guild where they register and then level up, and you're all like, oh, okay, now you're a E rank adventurer, now you're C rank adventurer, whatever. I'm like, there's got to be a game, right, that's out there that's like that. And so there's not, believe it or not. But I did find this one called Our Adventurers Guild, which actually is you as the guild master, and you have to recruit adventurers into the guild and then send them on quests and stuff. And there's 2 types of quests. There's these people are going to be gone for 3 days, and if they succeed, they'll get X number of experience and these items, whatever, right? And then it's a day cycle where you say, okay, they're going to be gone for 3 days and then they'll come back. And then you have quests. I think those are called tasks. And then you have quests, which are you actually send a party out, and then you as the omnipotent guild master CRPGs them through their battles. So it is very much a Final Fantasy Tactics kind of setup.
Okay.
And then they level up, and you get to pick their class and powers and progression and all that type of stuff. So it's almost like a CRPG with like 60 characters, because you've got 60 in rotation at any one time that I currently have. And I'll be like, okay, I want this group to do this because they need to level up, and their magic user needs to level up into a bard because we need a bard on the party or whatever. And so it's kind of interesting, but the story is actually completely encapsulated around you being the guild master. And so you actually inherit the guild from a friend of yours that died and left you the guild. And when you go there, his wife is there and she hates you and she never liked you. And you have to like work with her, even though she's really annoying, to try and fulfill your friend's dying wish for you to rebuild this guild to prominence, because it's fallen into a serious state of disrepair. And it's actually a good story. I mean, there's no voice, no anything, but I'm probably, let's look on Steam real quick. I'm afraid to look at this number, actually. because
I've only put about 600 hours in. I've been playing this for a week.
It's not that bad. It's 47.4 hours.
Okay. Still a lot, but in a week, yeah, that's still a lot.
That may have had an overnight where I forgot to shut it down. Now that I'm thinking about it, but still, that's only like 6 hours. So my bad.
So is it like you're sending the units out to do a quest and then they go out and come back, or are you actually controlling the units when they go out?
Tasks are you sending them out? They go out, do the thing with unguided, and come back at the end of the time period. So it tells you right up front they're going to be gone for 4 days while they search for this giant spider, right? And then usually if it's a something along the lines of what I just described, then the guild will get a quest instead to go and fight the giant spider. And so when you do the quests, you actually pick the teams, and you can actually form parties with leaders, and you can actually work on their teamwork and all that type of stuff. So it's kind of interesting on that respect. But then when you send them out on a quest, then you are actually controlling them in the battles.
Okay.
And on the map as they move around. It's a grid-based map, so, you know, if the bad guys see you, they'll generally start chasing you, et cetera, and you can use the land and stuff to get away from them or get out of their line of sight, and they'll lose interest, or that you go fight them, and whatever. So it's kind of both. It's as much as you want it to be, I guess. You could theoretically just stick to a smaller party and keep sending them out for tasks and stuff and never actually fight with them. It's probably my only complaint is I do wish there was a AI function if you just wanted to do that, but I enjoy CRPGs, so I enjoy it a lot. So
right. That makes sense.
I'm not, like I said, I'm only 47 hours into it, and I've gotten to what I would consider the end game, which is called master level. I have only unlocked one of the 8 master classes so far. So I am interested to see what those remaining classes are, because so far the stuff I have is pretty OP by the end of the game where I'm at now.
Right.
So I would give it if you like CRPGs, and that's always going to be my preface. If you like CRPGs, I would actually give this a 9 out of 10. There's not a lot wrong with it. The only thing I wish is that it was voiced. That's really about it. It's got great music. It's got the graphics are
fine.
They're fine. They're hand drawn. It's like the stuff behind you, but obviously way lower budget, right? It's like the Star Ocean stuff behind you, but imagine that if it was flat cell shading instead of, full anime. But it works for what they're doing, and it's consistent throughout. So what was
it called again?
It's called Our Adventurer Guild, and I believe it's $10 on Steam.
15. And it has a demo, so
it does have a free demo. And like I said, I was really surprised with how good it is, and it's been scratching an itch that I didn't realize. I mean, I kind of knew I had the itch because I was looking for that type of game in the first place to do something with the Adventurers Guild, and I was looking for something to enroll in the Adventurers Guild and level up. But since I'm controlling the characters, it's still kind of scratching that itch, if that makes sense.
Right.
So I've basically made all of my TTRPG characters and put them in a party that I've ever had. And,
nice.
And so it's kind of interesting in that respect. It's got a perfect 5 on Steam, 5 stars on Steam with 1,447 reviews, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah. Recent reviews, 151, very positive. Yeah. No, and like you said, it's a very basic look, right? And,
it's not.
And just so everyone understands too, I didn't fully understand when he says it's an isometric grid where you literally have little figurines that are the characters, right? It's literally playing a figure
Final
game.
Fantasy Tactics.
Right.
It's 100% Final Fantasy Tactics. If you're familiar with Final Fantasy Tactics, if you're not, it would be Oh, what's the one where you can fight in the swords to level them up by doing the endless dungeons of the sword. The farther you make it, the more the sword levels up. It it's the one with the penguins.
Disgaea.
Disgaea. Thank you. Yes, Disgaea is another analog to the type of game.
Yeah, they got the isometric grid based. Yeah.
And that's it for playing stuff. Watched. This is where it's going to get a little crazy. We finished the last season of The Voice. I don't think the new one's out yet, but it should be soon. We've been watching a lot of Dropout. I finally got Lexi on the Dropout. She loves Game Changer, which if you've never watched, have you ever watched Dropout, Matt?
These are all foreign
names
to me.
Best streaming service online, $5 a month. New shows every 2 weeks in staggered, how do I explain this? So they have 10 or 12 different series they do, and each of them gets a new show every 2 weeks, but not all at the same time. So this one will get one every 2 weeks.
Staggered.
This one will get one every 2 weeks, but it's on a different schedule, etc.
Right.
I'm surprised you've never run across their shorts on YouTube, because they are some of the most viewed stuff. This Dropout is, so you're familiar with College Humor?
Yeah.
Okay. College Humor almost went bankrupt, got sold. All the people were going to be laid off by their new employer, and it was going to get sold again. So one of the guys that worked for them bought the company, renamed it Dropout, believed in the talent of crew and staff that would be fired, and pays them both a wage and a percentage of what the service makes.
Wow.
It's crazy, ethical, paying actors and comedians things.
Right.
Anyways, it's like it actually works. The model works. They've been growing nonstop. Anyways, the Game Changer is, so everybody that's on is comedians on all the things, right? But it's College Humor comedians and the folks that have been working in the College Humor sphere for the most part. They do have special guests from time to time. Pete Holmes has been on some of them, and some other people, but it's usually people that the Dropout people have worked with in Hollywood anyways. So short form is Game Changer is a game show in which the contestants have no idea what the game is because it changes every show. And so the only way that they can learn what the rules are is by playing the game, and the only way they can win is by learning. And so it's some of the best television that's ever been made, in my opinion. It is sometimes absolutely hilarious. Other times it's like WTF, but always entertaining. So that's what Lexi got hooked on. And then there's another show that they have called Gastronauts, which is a cooking show where they get 3 professional LA chefs into the studio, and it's kind of like Chopped, where they're presented with challenges and what they got to do, but the challenges are all made up by comedians. So a lot of the time it may have nothing to do with the food, right? Like one of the guys' assignments for the chef is make me the best tasting dish that will survive being dropped from 6 feet up. And so some of this stuff is super creative.
Right.
You know, one of the other person is definitely allergic to shellfish, and they've never been able to have shellfish in their whole life. So they want a non-shellfish seafood boil. Right. And so it's kind of interesting stuff that they come up with, because it's basically
they're not coming from a culinary perspective, so they're not giving culinary challenges. They're giving challenges that like regular person might think of.
Exactly, but usually with an improv comedic spin, because all these people are improv people. So some of it is absolutely ludicrous, and then some of it is like, I never thought about that before, because that's never been presented in the confines of a cooking game show, right?
Right.
So it's kind of interesting. And they have a show for nerds called Actually, which is a trivia show where they will present like 7 pieces of information.
I have seen clips of that. I didn't know what it was from, but yeah.
And if you see what's wrong, you have to buzz and says, actually.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. So they have all kinds of stuff like that. And it's, I can't recommend Dropout enough. It is like a 10 out of 10 for me. Even if Lexi's not a big comedian. She's not a big comedy person. That's what she told me when she met me.
Sapien.
And she
me either.
howls
Gray.
laughing every time she watches any of this stuff. So
Nice.
It's really well done.
Nice.
You know who Brendan Lee Mulligan is, right?
Name's familiar. It's not
He
bringing a
runs
face to my head.
D20, the live Dungeons and Dragons play.
Oh, okay.
group.
Okay. Yeah.
That is also part of Dropout.
Okay.
So he's also, all of their
The Wolf
D&D
Grey.
games are on there.
Hey, Neo Sapien.
And you can watch them. And the one I'd highly recommend for you, Matt, is called oh crap. What is it?
It's called Oh Crap.
No, D20. They use the Kids on Brooms TTRPG campaign. Hold on. I'm gonna find it. 20. Misfits and Magic.
Okay.
It's basically, what if you took 4 normal kids from America and brought them to Hogwarts, and it turns out they actually have the ability to cast magic, but they're treated like commoner
Coke
exchange
chicken.
students
Smile.
Right.
in a house of nobilities. And it is probably like, I actually want someone to adapt this into anime. It is that good. It is
Nice.
hilarious. And Brandon actually plays as a character in it, and it's like one of my favorite characters I've ever seen at a table ever. So yeah. Okay, so yeah, that's Dimension 20. Sorry, I got off on a big thing.
Sorry, but that's all good information. So
Yes.
yeah, I haven't heard any of that.
Obviously, I've been watching wrestling. I have not been as impressed with the shows lately, which makes me sad. Hi, Mr. J Nice, how you doing? Ken, I got you with the hydrate. Thank you. Hi, Wolf Gray. Okay, so now we get to the list of anime.
I did watch 3 anime too, so I can throw mine out quick because that'll be shorter.
Go ahead.
Solo Leveling.
Yep.
Sakamoto Days. Know anything about that one? Okay. And then shoot, what's it called? Zenshu. So I watched an isekai.
Oh, Zen. Yeah. It's on my list. I was going to talk about it, so we can talk about it now.
Okay.
Listen. I started watching this because I'm like, okay, it's an isekai about an anime animator that dies and gets reincarnated in an anime movie.
Which happens to be her favorite movie of all time.
Which happens to be her favorite movie of all time, which everybody else pans because it's a mess. And she has animation powers. I'll tell you why I started it. It wasn't even from that synopsis. In my brain, I said, the animation on this is going to have to be excellent if it's about an animator going into an anime, and I'll be damned if it's not some of the brightest, nicest, cleanest looking anime that I've ever seen. I absolutely love her magical girl transformation that
thing.
she does. It's so good. And the story is interesting because she knows what happens in the movie, but then as things progress, obviously that's changing because she's interfering. So how is that going
she's
to
changing the story, right?
Yeah.
She's rewriting the story that she couldn't write.
Well,
in the real world, but
right. So it's super interesting, and like I actually think my wife would fully enjoy. She doesn't like animated stuff, and this is the one that I've been thinking the whole time that I think I can set her down, and she will fall in love with it. And I'm really enjoying it. I'm surprised how much I am enjoying it, actually.
Yeah, and my footing into this was Mappa, right? I mean, I wanted to see what a post-crisis Mappa was looking like, right? Because they've gone through this whole thing where, as a studio, they've overextended themselves, right? And the work was suffering, and so I wanted to see what does post-crisis Mappa look like, right? And it's interesting. It's fun. It's goofy. It's very. If you're used to the normal stuff that Mappa's been putting out, this is not that.
Nope.
Right? This is something completely different. That unicorn character, I want to punt to the moon.
Yeah, but I think we're supposed to want to punt her.
Yeah, we're supposed to want to punt.
They're doing a good job with it.
It's a him.
Oh, is it really?
It's a him.
I thought it was our.
I thought it was too.
I'll tell you why. And that's a bad editing job, is what that is what it boils down to. Because every time they talked about the thing that was supposed to happen, they would cut to a picture of the person we just met in the last episode being dead on the ground. And so my mind always equivocated those were the two same people, I think.
Yeah.
Like that was her in human form or something.
Right.
So I now that you say this, I'm like, oh, okay.
Because I made the same assumption. Then all of a sudden they said he or something to that effect. You know, it's like, because I'm watching subtitles, but it's like, oh, that's a male character.
Yeah.
Okay.
I still
did not see that.
I didn't even see the he. I just have always assumed that is a female character. All right. So yes, I'm glad we are both watching that one.
Yes.
I just finished Ningen Fushin, Adventurers Who Don't Believe in Humanity Will Save the World. So
the other reason I could watch that one, it's only a one-word title.
Yeah. So this was 1 season, 12 episodes. I literally started and finished it today, I think. Don't hate on me.
How? It was a work day.
Yeah, but I started my day at 6 a.m., so I finished by 2 p.m. And then I shotgunned the whole thing.
Coke Chicken. Have you heard of I may be a guild receptionist?
Yes.
But I LL solo any boss to clock out on time. It popped up for me on Crunchyroll.
So I'm going to explain this, Ken. That's a great question. Yes, I've heard of it. Yes, I've watched the first episode. My tolerance for goofy in anime is fairly low. I won't say that, like, there's different kinds of goofy. Zenshu has goofy, but that's fine. But
it's like self-aware goofy. Right?
Yeah. But when it's like slapstick kind of goofy, or nothing but the trope anime faces, then I get annoyed and I'll stop. That one for me is haha, that's a funny premise, but after watching the first episode, I can probably tell that one's not for me. Which I didn't put it on the list because it was only one episode. I do have a couple of those that I am going to list off. But so this one real quick, the Adventurers Who Don't Believe in Humanity Will Save the World. Basically, it is not an isekai, which is rare for me. But it's basically four people who've been screwed over by their other parties meet by chance, form a party where they can't trust each other and openly distrust each other, but learn to be a party despite that, I guess. And it's one season. It was pretty good. interested to see if it will get a second season. It just did come out last year, so we'll see if it gets a second one. A playthrough of a certain dude's VR MMO life, 1 season, 12 eps. I did shotgun that one as well, I think over the last couple days. Actually really enjoyed that one. He wasn't trapped in the VR MMO or anything like that. It's just
No Sword Art Online here.
no Sword Art Online. It's actually, he's a salaryman. He has 3 hours a day to play. He takes the worst possible skills because he doesn't want to draw attention to himself. He just wants to play the game solo and in peace. And of course, you know, that's never going to work. If that's your goal, you're going to have the exact opposite of that. And it's actually a pretty interesting story throughout. That's one that I actually do hope gets picked up. I could give or take the first one, the Adventures. It was good, but I'd say it's like a 7 good. I would say the VR MMO life is like a 7.5, maybe 7.75. Daily Life of a Middle-Aged Online Shopper in Another World is an ongoing one. It's only got, I think, 4 episodes out. I'm enjoying that one quite a bit. Basically, a guy who gets isekai'd as he is at 40 years old, but still has the power to order off of basically Amazon. And it's instant delivery for whatever he orders. And because they're paying in gold in this world, it equates to like so much money in the real world. So they get rid of that problem of not having money pretty quick. And he, of course, sells products off of Amazon to a merchant to make his living, and it works out pretty well. And he has a merchant stall. So the very pragmatic stuff, I'm really digging that one. I'd say that's probably like an 8 for me right now. Even given the Worthless Appraiser class, I'm actually the strongest. Is an ongoing 4 episodes. I am enjoying this one. It is not an isekai, and it is a little different in that this one's about a story of basically an F-rank adventurer who's low commoner class. He has to take crappy jobs to survive, but he has the appraisal skill and can at least appraise stuff but anyways, his party turns on him, leaves him to die. And through happenstance in an S-class dungeon, he finds one of the pieces of Yggdrasil, the world tree, and it gives him a bunch of powers to upgrade his appraisal, which he's then trained by the tree's protector to use magic so that he can get out of the dungeon, and then they all go with him. And it's actually been pretty good so far. I'd probably say that one's a strong 8. And that one's ongoing. It's only 4 episodes in. I'm a noble on the brink of ruin, so I might as well try Mastering Magic is another ongoing one. That one's 5 episodes in. That one isn't isekai, and it's been pretty good. I mean, most of the isekais nowadays, the main character is totally OP. This follows that format. We like OP main characters. I probably give that one a 7.5 or so. Magic Maker, How to Make Magic in Another World, ongoing, 4 episodes in. Isekai, he's a neat, which if you're not familiar with that slang, he's basically a shut-in that does nothing but play video games and work when necessary and read manga and stuff. And he really wants to cast magic and dies in the most dumb way possible and is reincarnated in a world where there is no magic. And he's like, what the hell? And it turns out he figures out how to make magic in the world. And so he is scientific methoding the discovery of magic, and now what are the applications and how can I grow this? And it's actually pretty decent. I would probably call it like an 8 so far. Promise of Wizard. Okay, this is an ongoing one. It's 4 episodes. This is the other one that I sat down and thought my wife might like this. It's a little slow, but it's almost like what would happen if Lewis Carroll's Adventures in Wonderland was a anime. I mean, half the time you have you coming in as a reader, you have no idea what the hell is going on. And there's really not, even though it's like 4 or 5 episodes in, even now I don't have a ton of context other than she's been isekai'd to another world. She's the great sage, but we don't know exactly what that means. And we know that they fought the moon, and wizards are all K-pop guys so far that, are super dreamy, whatever, but it doesn't set it up like that, right? That's just the aesthetic. And so I'm kind of like on the fence, but I'm interested. I'd probably say this is like a strong 8. The animation is beautiful. That's the reason I think she'd like it more than anything. So I'd give that one an 8. Possibly the greatest alchemist of all time is ongoing, 5 episodes in. That one is another isekai, and of course he uses his alchemy power to make a bunch of things that don't exist in this world and sell them to a merchant, which is becoming an ongoing trope in isekais, because why wouldn't you? And it's pretty good. I'd probably give it a 7.5. Bogus Skill Fruit Master. About that time I became able to eat unlimited skill fruits is an ongoing 5 episode one. Basically, not an isekai in this fantasy world. Hold on. At a certain age, you are given a skill fruit, and it gives you your one skill you will have for life. And you can't eat more skill fruit because it will kill you. It's poison after the first one. And so he eats skill fruit, gets a skill called Fruit Master, which actually makes him immune to all poisons. So he can then eat unlimited skill fruit, and the chaos then ensues beyond that. I'd probably give that one like a 7, but it is fun. It's just not very deep so far. I'm standing on 1,000,000 lives, 2 seasons, 22 episodes. It is not going to have any more episodes, which I wish I would have known before I started it. I did like this one. It is, Ken really likes like anytime you're captive in a video game kind of things. And that's what it appears, that these people are captive in a video game. And if they don't clear it, they die in real life. If they do clear it, they go back to real life and then get pulled in later. And that's basically the premise. It was a good 22 episode run, but unfortunately, I guess it won't be picked up anymore. So that kind of sucks, because I'm like pretty invested in the story, and now it just doesn't have an ending. So that's
Oh dear.
But I would give it probably like a 7, solid 7 for it. I tried to start Black Clover, dude. Have you ever watched Black Clover?
I've seen random episodes because Mitchell's a fan of it. I've actually read the first 2 volumes of the manga, which I find much more tolerable to read than to watch.
They made one of the 2 protagonists of the show the most effing annoying character I have ever seen in anything.
So that's me with Luffy.
I know.
I can't deal with Luffy.
Right. I think he's more annoying than Luffy. Like, it's crazy to me how annoying he is. I tried to I'm like, dude, this has got to change. I made it to episode 3. I'm like, I noped. I'm out.
The game was a good beat 'em up.
Yeah, I'm not even going to give that game a second look, Ken, because I hate the character that much. Like,
yeah, I don't know. He's pretty annoying. He gets better as the series goes on, because I catch random episodes, at different points in the series, right? And he definitely gets less annoying as time goes on. But for some reason, reading the character is not nearly as annoying to me as
because he's not
watching
at
it.
the top
And
of his
you gave
lungs
me
at
a
you.
hard time.
Well,
Lol.
he is, but it's on a page, so you can kind of do with it what you want.
I made it 4 episodes and bailed. I specifically wrote it down. I started a Korean anime called Link Click, which was annoying because it was dub only, and I hate dub. I want to hear it in Japanese or Korean or whatever, but it was an interesting setup. One character has a superpower where if they touch a photograph, they can become whoever was taking the photograph. And then the other half of the duo, I don't know exactly what their power is, but somehow they can see the person in the photo and instruct and guide them in what they need to do. So they could do corporate espionage. They could do, whatever they needed to do, but they only had 12 hours to do it from when the photo was taken in that point in time. And if they change the past, they screw up the future, et cetera, et cetera. So there's limits to what they can do. I really didn't like the setup. I didn't like that after 5 episodes, I knew basically nothing more about whatever the situation was that put them in the circumstances they were in the first episode. So 5 episodes later, I had no more clarity than that. And what just happened? Oh, go away. That was weird. Sorry. And so anyways, I bailed after 5 episodes. Animation was fine. Premise was fine. It was just, I think, too slow for me, maybe. We already talked about Zenshu. Headhunted to another world from Sailorman to Big Four of the Demon Lord's army. This is literally like dude in middle management, Sailorman, gets isekai'd to the demon army's world and becomes one of the generals because he uses his middle management powers to smooth over negotiations and stuff like that. I made it 2 episodes and bailed. I like the premise, but it's so absurd and it's played straight, right? There's no, it was too much for me. I couldn't take it.
That makes sense.
Wise Man's Grandchild, 1 season, 12 episodes. I shotgunned that. Basically, kid raised by Merlin, and Merlin teaches him like all the magic and no common sense whatsoever. And then he goes to the city and magic school because he lived out in the sticks. And yeah, it's pretty decent. I'd give it an 8. I don't think it's getting another season. The Eighth Son, are you kidding me? 1 season, 12 eps, shotgun that too. It's fine. Maybe like a 7. I don't remember that much about it looking at the name. So Ascendance of a Bookworm, I think it was 3 seasons, 36 episodes. This is about an isekai where a girl gets reincarnated in another world, and she was going to be a librarian, and she dies before she can become the librarian. And so when she gets there, all she does is try and recreate books because it's a world where only the highest of nobility has books. And so her life's mission is to create books for everyone. And it's actually a pretty decent series. I would probably give it like an 8.5. And it's out of the norm because like there's no magic powers, no, anything like that. So yeah, that was pretty good. The Aristocrats, Otherworldly Adventure Serving Gods Who Go Too Far, 1 season, 12 eps. Is an isekai where the gods made him stupid overpowered in the world because of things that you find out through the thing. Anyways, I thought it was also good. I don't think it's getting any more seasons. It's fine where it left off. I'd give it probably a 7.5. I left my A rank party to help my former students reach the dungeon depths. This is a brand new ongoing one, 3 episodes in. I really like this one. I would give it probably an 8.5 right now. I'm a noble on the brink of ruin, so I might as well try mastering magic. Ongoing, 5 episodes. It's another one that this one is an isekai. He's super OP. I'd probably give it a 7. It's been entertaining. Ari Fioretta from Commonplace to World's Strongest. This is an ongoing one. This one started in my last season's kind of anime recap where I had the big recap of all the stuff. This is still going from the fall season. So wow. It's 13 episodes in, and I don't know how many there are going to be. It seems like theoretically there should be at least 1 to 2 more. So we'll see. This has been a pretty decent series overall. I'd probably give it an 8. And then the one that I really wanted to talk to you about, the Red Ranger becomes an adventurer in another world.
I've seen ads, promos for this one. I do want to watch that one.
So it's an ongoing. It's only 3 episodes in. There was another one last fall that was basically something similar, or it seemed like it was going to be something similar. And then when we got into it, it wasn't what I was thinking it was going to be. This is exactly what I was thinking it's going to be. You take the Red Ranger Sentai hero and you put him in D&D. And that's what it is, and it's dumb, and it's self-aware dumb, and it's hilarious. Like every time he does his pose thing, he has the huge explosion behind him, which of course wrecks things. And his guide or his partner in the world is like, you keep blowing up all the monster parts. We're never gonna make any money. Why do you have to do these explosions? It's absolutely like. This is the kind of like ludicrous that I like in it.
Right.
And it's so like self-aware dumb that I'm absolutely loving this. I would give this like 8.5 so far, just based on these 3 episodes. Solo Leveling season 2, man, I'm enjoying the hell out of it, but I'm mad at me.
Okay. Mad at you.
Because I played the mobile game. And we played through this story arc in the mobile game. So I have effectively ruined the season for myself because I know the broad brushstrokes of what's going to happen. Now, I will say that there have been some surprises in it, but for the most part, we knew if you made it to the end of the story that was in the game at the time, then you played all the way through
season 2.
So I'm kind of upset that I'm
glad the game. I installed the game and it ran like crap on my phone, so I uninstalled it. So, point me.
Yeah, Shangri-La Frontier is another VR MMO anime. I am digging this one. It's ongoing. This one is still going from fall. Also, it's 13 episodes in. I don't know if it's gonna. I think this might be a 24 episode season. I'm not positive, but it seems like there's no winding down for the story as it's going. This is one of my few, like, I would call this a 9. It is, if you like action, this is the anime for you.
25 episodes for season 1. It's already confirmed for a second season that will also be 25 episodes.
Okay, so we're in season 3, I think.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm reading an old post.
Is that an old post? Because I'm almost positive this is season 3.
Oh, yeah. Season 2 premiered on October 13th of 24. So we're in season 2. Looks like.
Okay. So then we still have 12 episodes left. Yep.
Yeah. I'm not seeing anything about a season 3 yet.
It's generally on the top of the Crunchyroll charts, so I wouldn't be surprised. And the story's been super good. It's one of the few kind of shonen / VR ones that has a clear story of where they're going. And there's very little filler in it. And the characters are good. There's a little bit of slapstick in it every once in a while, but for the most part, it's just straight up action. Really recommend this one. It's very, very good. I very much like it.
Lisa's got the opener on that one too. She's everywhere.
Summoned to Another World for a second time. It's 1 season, 12 eps. I don't think there's going to be another season for it, sadly. But it's pretty self-contained for the 12 episodes. So this is one of the few that I would say you can definitely watch and be fine without there being a second season. But it's unique in the fact that a whole class gets isekai'd away, but one of the guys had actually already been isekai'd there and made his way back to the real. Well, he didn't make his way back to the real world. Something happened to send him back to the real world, and then he got teleported back again. So that's a pretty unique thing for that. By the Grace of the Gods, 24 episodes. Don't even remember what it's about, so I can't give it a score. Seirei Gensuki Spirit Chronicles, 2 seasons, 24 episodes. I shotgunned these 2 season ones back to back, and I couldn't tell you what they are without looking at them. I don't remember much about them. Let This Grieving Soul Retire. This was, I think, a fall one that just finished up. It had 13 episodes. So I only watched the last episode to finish it up. It's basically about a kid who his friends all said, let's make a badass adventuring party. And they did. And he was made the party leader. He has no powers, no nothing. And everyone thinks like he is a calculating trickster god, when in reality he is a bumbling fool who just wants to stop being party leader. And I believe it or not, after finishing it, not my favorite. I'd give it like a 6.5.
Oh wow.
The healer who is banished from his party is in fact the strongest. 1 season, 12 episodes. That was one of the fall ones, just finished up. That has been really good. I'd probably give it an 8. Really like the characters and the story development in that one. As a reincarnated aristocrat, I'll use my appraisal skill to rise in the world. That's 2 seasons. This one also just finished.
Different from the other aristocrat appraisal skill.
No, the other one's not. The other one's not appraisal. You're reading. There was the appraisal one, and then there was the aristocrat one. This one's as a reincarnated aristocrat. I'll use my appraisal skill. This one is actually super wholesome, and it's actually really smartly done. I very much like this one. I would probably give this one a 9, to be honest.
Oh wow.
Goodbye Dragon Life. Also one of the fall ones that ended not too long ago. 1 season, 12 eps. It's basically a dragon gets reincarnated after dying as a human, but still has all of his powers and his dragon soul. And so, of course, he is the most OP thing on the planet, and he is trying to lead a mostly quiet life, and that doesn't go well
the way he wants. Right.
Yeah. That one's pretty good. I would probably give it a 7.5, 8, somewhere in there. Dan finally, it finished between last podcast and this podcast. 1 season, 12 eps. Man, they ended on a weird spot.
Oh yeah, we got the 12 episodes. Time to take a break, but it's coming back in June, so it's a short wait at least.
Oh, okay,
so.
All right, yeah. This is a very solid 9 for me. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Weird. It's weird funny. It's very much Fooly Cooly all over again, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, I think Fooly Cooly walked so this could run.
Yeah.
And it is very quirky. It has a specific art style that it does not I don't want to say waver, but it never dips. It's consistent throughout the show. And I like that kind of art style. It looks really interesting.
And the artwork in the intro is just
the
ridiculous.
Song, everything is fantastic. I would give it a solid probably 9.
Yeah.
And other than I didn't like the ending spot. I don't know why I'm getting stuffy here.
Talking too long. It's been a couple hours already.
I know, right? And the fact that I have like this giant list. The most notorious talker runs the world's greatest clan. That was another fall one that ended. So just like 1 episode is where it fell in here. But I would give the season probably 8.5. It was definitely one of the better ones from the fall season. And basically, the guy's a mage who can only buff people, which is considered the weakest class you can possibly be in this world. And he's gonna build the strongest guild out of it. It's really good, actually. Classroom of the Elite. This is the one that sticks out like a sore thumb on my list. 3 seasons. 38 eps, 38 episodes. It is not an isekai. It's not fantasy kind of anime. It's about a prototype Japanese high school where the classes compete against each other And if they make it out, they're pretty much guaranteed any job they want. But if they fail, they can never re-enter the school program and they lose all credit for having gone.
Oh, wow.
And it forces the classes to work together, and there's a lot of subterfuge and sabotage and all that type of stuff. It was one of those times where I was really struggling to find anything to watch, and I started watching it. It's pretty decent. I'd probably give it like a 7. It's not my favorite of the genres, I guess is the best way to say that. But overall, like it was smart, and I appreciated that. So, ReZero, Starting Life in Another World, 3 seasons, 58 episodes. That one also is still ongoing, and it started in the fall. I think one of the things that I get frustrated with anime about is like the first season for some of these can be super brutal, and then it softens quite a bit and is more what I would say mainstream. It's like they're doing the first shock season to get, people talking about it, and then when more eyeballs get on it, it becomes more mainstream.
Right.
This is not that. This is like, holy cow, from like episode 1, and here we are 58 episodes later, and it's still like, Jesus, man, what are you doing? What are you doing for some of this stuff? It's pretty crazy. I really like this series. It is an isekai, and his power, which I don't want to say what it is, because that's part of the first entire season, is figuring out what his power is and how it works, is messed up. And I really like this series. I would probably give it a 9 also. It's one of the ones I would say it's a commitment because there's a lot of episodes, but at the same time, it's pretty doggone good. Bofuri, I don't want to get hurt, so I'll max out my defense. 2 seasons, 24 episodes. The second season just finished up. And this is another VR MMO one about a young girl who doesn't know how to play VR MMOs. And so she puts all her stats in defense. All of them. She's got no strength. She's got no magic. She's got no endurance, nothing, just all defense. And the struggles therein she has in playing the game, and the stupid things that happen to her because of the fact she built her character this way. And it's actually pretty doggone amusing. I would probably give it a solid 8. I enjoyed it. It's got a little bit of slapstick now and then, but for the most part, it plays it pretty straight. I very much enjoyed it.
Nice.
Misfit of Dragon King Academy, Misfit of Demon King Academy. 2 seasons, 24 episodes. Did enjoy this one. This is not an isekai. It's the demon lord wins in his world, and basically voluntarily lets the hero kill him because he wants to see how the world will grow. And so 500 years or later or whatever it is, he gets reincarnated and re-enrolls in the demon society's school for their elite or whatever, and finds out that someone has messed with time so that the Demon King's name has been changed. So no one believes he's the Demon King, and he has to go through school and then eventually fix whatever's going on with the greater thing. Enjoyed that one, probably 7.5, I'd say. Wisteria Wand and Sword. What if Harry Potter was a thing and there was a kid? This is going to sound like Mashal Muscles that we talked about before, but that was the fully flat slapstick one. This is the serious one. What if there's a kid who has no magic power and he enrolls in Hogwarts, but he's trained himself to be like super combat? That's what this is. And it's pretty doggone interesting, and the animation is great. The battle scenes are amazing. I would give this one an 8.5, actually. I'm almost at the end of my list. I know this has been like an hour just going through this list. Quality Assurance in Another World. That one finally wrapped up as well. I'm like, it was good. I would say it's strong, okay, right? But I am,
In a world where there's a number of shows that you can watch that you just listed off, mildly or strongly okay does not seem like it cuts the
like, I think
the
it's
requirement.
it's
boundaries.
fine as a story, right? As an anime, I think it's fine. The issue for me is it somewhere in there it failed for me. I would probably give this one a 6.5. I don't regret watching it. Like it's not like I feel that like, oh, I could have spent my time better, but it's just, there's something. If there's a second season, will I watch it? Probably yes, but it's not like at the top of the list, I guess is the best way to say that. That time I got reincarnated as a slime, 3 seasons, 72 episodes in a movie. That's still ongoing from last fall. I think this is going to be a 24 episode season, if I'm not mistaken. So we're only on like, I don't know. It's hard because they listed as episode 73. So I don't know if it's like, if we've done 13 episodes this season or if we've done more. I'm confused because they just give one to, I hate when they do that.
Crunchyroll's numbering system is
It's a 10. I can't recommend it enough. I absolutely love this anime from beginning to end. Yes, it has its moments where it's a little silly, but for the most part, it is a pretty solid look at world building, at characters, at going from a micro level to a macro level. And I don't want to talk much more about that, but it's pretty interesting stuff. I think that is probably my favorite anime right now, besides of the isekai genre. Let's put it that way. That's probably my favorite isekai. And then Failure Frame, I became the strongest and annihilated everything with low-level skills. That was 1 season, 12 eps. That was also fall one that finished up. This is the one that I recommend if you like solo leveling, you'll also like this one. Because it's pretty much the same thing. Pretty much the exact same thing. And I'd probably give it an 8. It was pretty solid. And I look forward to the second season of that too, hopefully. That's my list. That was crazy amount, right?
Yeah, no Sakamoto days though. I didn't take the dive on that one.
No.
That one's fun. That one's fun. I mean, if you like, it's very, very different from Spy Family, but it gives me that same feeling as when I watch Spy Family. And if you don't like Spy Family, then you probably wouldn't like this one so much.
I have not watched Spy Family because I'm not going to lie. I'm there for the D&D type fantasy stuff. I don't mind if you give me like campfire cooking in another world, where, or Amazon shopper guy in another world. I don't mind that because it's still the whole D&D trope for all intents and purposes. Mm-hmm. They almost always end up as adventurers with the guild. That's my lane for anime for the most part. I don't mind going outside of it to try something, but that's pretty much my lane. And Spy Family, not so much my lane.
Yeah,
but that doesn't mean that I think it's bad or anything of that.
No,
I just haven't, and I self-admittedly, I've not watched Spy Family. I should start it to see if I like it. I just look at the cover art and know it's probably too silly for me.
Really not. Is there silliness? Yes, because you're dealing with a 4-year-old girl that's an absolute moron. But it's also it's not all that it is, right? I mean, it's an element of it, right? Because it really does a good job of balancing between the 3 main characters, and so you never feed too much into any one of them. It's really the dynamic. But again, it's a group dynamic. It's a kind of family dynamic with, and they're both kind of found family stories, right? To a degree, right? There's kind of there's the found family element to it, right? So that works for me. And that's not going to work for everyone. But I didn't know anything about Sakamoto Days except my son told me, hey, go to Netflix and watch this. I knew nothing going in, and I was in within the first 5 minutes, so
I'll give it
yeah.
I'll give it a shot, but it's only on Netflix.
Yeah, it's only on Netflix.
Man, I hate using Netflix. I'm not saying I don't like the service. I'm saying that on smart TVs, Netflix sucks. It crashes, it hangs all the time. I absolutely hate it, and I try and stay off of it as much as humanly possible. I'm actually surprised I keep my subscription to it because I try to actively stay off it because it annoys me so much. But yeah, I'll check it out. Sakamoto Days. I wish there was a thing that I wish there was a reliable place that you could go see all of the new anime. Oh man, I didn't talk about that one either. What is it? My Life as a Sword. I think that's the name of it. It's only on Hulu, and it's one of the few I've watched. Hulu, Life as a Sword. I think that's the name of it. Reincarnated as a Sword. That one was, I believe, 10 episodes. Let me double check.
Slow stream. Just choose a VPN and download what you wanna watch from torrents. Smile.
Yeah.
Not like Netflix is good at supporting studios. It's great at closing M though.
Yeah. You're not wrong, Zillow Stream. Let me see here. So Reincarnated as a Sword is 18 volumes. Tell me about the anime. Thank you. 12 episodes. So it is about a guy that gets reincarnated as a sword. Go figure. In a fantasy world. And is eventually found by a cat girl escaped slave and their adventures henceforth. And I actually really, really liked it. I thought it was really solid. The animation was good. I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10. I really liked it. I would recommend that one, but it's only on Hulu. And I think what I get frustrated with is there's nothing that says, here's all the new animes that are coming out, and you can find these on Crunchyroll, you can find these on Hulu, you can find these on Netflix.
I'll check with Keegan. He seems to always know where everything is and what it's doing. So I'll see what he's using as a tracker. I don't know.
Because like if I search like what's the best new isekai, right? I'll find like here's the top 20 new isekai and where you can watch them is in there. But there's nothing that says here's everything. Because I would like to know if he does have one for that, because I sure haven't found anything like that.
I'll check.
Yeah. So that's it for me. And that's the podcast.
That's it for the show. I talked about comics. You talk about isekai, and that's a show.
Yep. I'm actually really worried about Crunchyroll because I'm at the bottom of the pile right now. I'm literally, I'm now going to, you know how if you go all the way bottom, it'll do more, and then you can look at every popular thing ranked. I'm down on like the 9th or 10th page now, trying to find anything that looks good to me and that I haven't watched. I tell you, it's really frustrating. I'll see something that I'm like, have I watched that? And I'll click on it and it's like, watch again. Damn it. I've already watched it and I don't even remember it. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, you might have to join High Dive or something. See what you can find in some other services. But.
Yeah, I may have to at some point. All right, let's see who's on that we can raid out to. Matt, thanks for hanging out and going through stuff with me.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
No worries. This was fun.
We haven't rated Cozy Bean for a while. She's a good friend of the channel. She is doing a Just Chatting. Raid Cozy Bean. And then raid Cozy Bean.
Cool.
Oh, I was Abed for a second. So yeah, we're going to head over there. Appreciate everybody joining in. We will be back on Sunday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 4 Central, 5 Eastern for Sunday Streamer Tech Support. We are off tomorrow, but join us then, and we will answer questions about streaming, video games, Magic, whatever you want to talk about, we will answer for you. I appreciate you all joining us. I hope you have an excellent weekend. Matt, thanks again for joining us. Until next time, as always, be excellent to each other, and of course, game on.
Game on.